Today we're here with Hannah Wiginton of Abilene, Texas. Hannah is a communications and grants director for over 12 years, focusing on helping children in foster care. And today she's here to talk with us about Airtable. So Hannah, what exactly is Airtable?
Airtable is, in a nutshell, is an online database with more of a spreadsheet feel. So you have your Excel spreadsheets and Google spreadsheets, but what Airtable does is it takes that to the next level and really allows you to be able to use it to store all kinds of information. And in this case, like grant proposals and reports and foundations and things like that, everything that you're working on. And Airtable is just this really cool tool that makes it so much easier to keep track of everything.
Cool. So would you say it's like a three-dimensional spreadsheet?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think what's really neat and the difference in Airtable in a spreadsheet is that in a spreadsheet, you have your basic sheet. And while there are some tricks and workarounds to kind of linking maybe some cells to another cell on a different sheet, it's really not intuitive. It's not very direct. So what Airtable does is it turns this spreadsheet format into really a linked database. And so if you have a grant proposal on one sheet, you can link it to a foundation on another sheet, and you just keep everything connected together. You can follow the trail, quickly figure out where your grant proposal status is, figure out which foundation it's linked to or funder, and then even link it to a contact at foundation and keep track of your tasks. And it just keeps everything together, and it makes it really seamless to track everything.
Okay, so it sounds like you're using Airtable for grants management.
Yes. You know, a lot of us have basically a donor database system, and that's great. We all need it to keep track of donors. And, you know, when we get grant proposals that we wrote and the amount, that's great. We can keep track of it. But a grant writer has honestly just kind of a completely different role and a task that you have to take on. It's never just writing a grant proposal. It's that entire process of tracking your funders. It's keeping track of the interactions that you have with them, whether it's a phone call or an email. It's the grant reporting and the due dates of everything that is due. And just it's an entire system in itself outside of your general donor database. And so that's where this grants management system comes in, is that it kind of becomes your own tracking system. One of the reasons I created this is because the donor database was just lacking in really the information that I needed to see to keep me on task, to know when my deadlines were, know who I needed to call next, know when my reports were due, and those kinds of things. And there was really not a good snapshot of that. And so with this in Airtable, I created my own system to where every fiscal year, you know, I'm creating my new calendar for the entire year. And I can see what I'm going to do in 8 months from now or 12 months from now and when it's due. And I can keep track of all the files and who I'm contacting. And so very geared towards grant writing in general.
Okay, well, I wonder if you'd be willing to share your screen and let us take a peek into how you use this.
Yes, I would love to. Okay, so this is my Airtable grants management system, and I call it Grant From. You can kind of see here, you're looking at really, essentially, it looks a little bit like a spreadsheet. And so you can see here, you know, I've got my request period, and what that basically is your cycle dates. When do I even need to be addressing this grant? When do I need to look and start working on it? That's what that is. And then the amount requested, amount received, those kinds of things. So if you look up here too, I have grant proposals tab. I've got a foundations tab, a grant reports, programs, contacts, tasks, interactions, all these different things that I need to track and want to track, and then I have them all connected to one another. And that's what really makes Airtable such a unique, helpful tool. So for instance, here in the grant proposal, I can open this up and you can see this is what's called a record. And it has all this information to really keep things in order. I can also track, okay, what's the status of, let's say I've sent this grant proposal and we are pending a response from the funder. The project status, this is, hey, we have sent the proposal, it's been done. This is different than a response status. Now we have like the linked record. So you can see here, while I've created this entire grant proposal, I can link it to the specific foundation, which is related to this table over here. And with this, I can then track the information about this foundation or the funder. So I can put in information about who's the contact, and then their related information. How many grant proposals have I sent to this foundation? And so it groups it all together. So if I have written, one over the past 5 years, I can see this entire history that I've had with this funder, how much I've requested from them each year, when I requested it, which also, again, can help with creating your new grants calendar for the year. And then also if we've received it, declined, and where the status is of it. So that's really neat. And then also another thing that I have in here are basically my interactions with them. So you can kind of tell this is getting deeper and deeper into linking this interaction for this foundation is linked to the grant proposal.
Oh, wow.
So it really makes it to where you see your entire life cycle and the history of a proposal in just one way. What's neat about Airtable is this is just the basics of it. So what you see there, you think, okay, I've got a little bit of a spreadsheet. Okay, so now we've got some linked records and I can see this history, but that's just the start of Airtable. You can also create different views of your data. So you have a calendar view where you can say, okay, well, this month, which proposals are due here in the tasks. So if you want to keep track of, okay, for this grant proposal, I need to get last year's financials. I need to get the most recent balance sheet. What you can do is you can add this as a task, and then you're going to link it to that grant proposal. So you can always see, okay, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I need to do next. And here's what I do have done. Another neat thing about Airtable is it's really a collaborative tool. You can tag other users, let them know, okay, hey, you're up next. I need you to send me the demographics from last year for the program. And what's great is that it's really just a centralized source for all these things that you as a grant writer need to keep everything on track. So another kind of neat thing about Airtable is they have automation. And so what you can do in Airtable is you can say, okay, well, when my grant proposal is, when I put the status as submitted, automatically send an email to the CEO and the board member that says, hey, this grant proposal has been submitted to this foundation for this amount. And so you don't even have to manually email them if you don't want to. You can have Airtable do all the automation for you, and they'll just get an email. And
That's
so
fantastic.
Yes. And that's really kind of just the basis of it. There's all kinds of neat tricks and things that you can do. Another thing too is that Airtable has what they call interfaces. So basically this puts your data almost in an app is what it feels like. This sits on top of the data that you have stored in your database. Here's my main dashboard for this fiscal year. We have 4 proposals that are pending a response. We've received 2 of them. We have 3 that were declined, and total 10 have been completed for the fiscal year. So what you can do is basically create these reports to where you can really get a snapshot. Okay, here's where we are in the process.
So do you share this dashboard with your clients?
Once you have the data in there, you can, every 6 months, it sends them an email report that says, hey, we've sent 4 proposals. Here's who we've sent it to. Here's the amounts. Here's the responses. And so you can really create your own customizable reports for really anything you need.
This is powerful. This is a powerful tool. I wish that I had this when I was writing grants.
Yeah, I've been using Airtable for several years now, and it's really made my position and what I do just I'm very organized, very focused. I know what I need to be doing. I kind of look each month or a month or 2 before to really get a snapshot. Okay, who do I need to be applying to this month and next month? And, I can look a year out, and that's typically what I do is I create my yearly calendar to say, okay, here's what I'm doing for the next entire year. And so it's really a planning tool in addition to just keeping track of these things.
So for those who are maybe just getting started with Airtable, what tips would you share with newbies?
I would probably say Airtable has a lot of basic starter templates. So what I would do is get in there, create your account, and just add one of those starter templates. And it doesn't need to be a grants template, just anything. And they have so many. Use it for personal use, which is really neat. Say you want to keep track of, your Christmas gifts or something like that. Get in there and tinker with it and learn how linked records work.
So Airtable is free to use. Is there a paid upgrade? How does that work?
Yeah. So you can start with a free account. It has a limited amount of records that you can put in there. And basically what a record is this single proposal right here, that's one record. If you link it to a foundation is another record. So there are some limits. You can't do automations on the free plans, and there's some other things too. But
okay.
Companies big and small use Airtable to do all kinds of things, and it's really helpful for creating your own kind of custom system for what you need.
This is fantastic. So you created this Airtable and figured out what you wanted the fields to be and how it would link and how it all works together.
This is a system that I've built out, tested out by a grant writer in the actual doing the work. And so I have you can go to, I have a website, grantfrog.com, but I want to help others get this set up and get over that learning curve without having to do all that setup, because it does take a lot, and especially if you want to set up automations and things like that. But what's great too is you can kind of start out with, hey, here's this system, like you can start using it immediately. But if we need to customize it a little more, or make it a little more specific to your organization, I can do that as well.
This sounds amazing. And I know several people right now that I want to refer to you that really need your help.
Okay.
So you're really focusing on this Airtable, Grant Frog, consulting, helping other nonprofits get going with this really powerful, efficient tool.
Yes, I am.
Right. And something you said earlier really resonated with me, because I've used, all those different grant tracking databases, and you're absolutely right. They're really geared toward donor tracking. And as grant writers, we can get in there and kind of make them work for us. But something like what you've created with Airtable that is so specific for grant writers is that's just really exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for your time today.